started. So first of all, I want to say something about Ignite. Ignite is not how many words you say or how many words are on the slides, but how fast you can think. So this is about the future of jobs. What does the future of jobs look like to the economic development profession? So I wanted to go all the way to the source, and I want to ask, what is a job? What constitutes a job? You think that's an easy question, and I want to suggest to you it's not an easy question. It's really a very difficult question to understand, because there's a context for this. And that context is not what we think of now. Before the Industrial Revolution, before we did anything but live with cows, no one had a job. People worked, and they had skills, or they didn't have skills. But the idea that there was a job, per se, that you punched in on, didn't exist. These people didn't punch a clock. They had skills. Their fundamental relationship to what they were producing was different than what was soon to come. And when it came, it sent a shockwave throughout the entire world. It became this. These people's relationship to what they were doing are fundamentally different to what was happening before people had a job defined as a particular kind of relationship to someone that handed them a check. So that got us going on whose job is it to create jobs? You would think that that's a question that we would have asked ourselves in this profession for a long time. And I want to suggest to you we haven't asked ourselves that question. We don't know the answer to that. We know it's not the public sector. Every debate you turn on TV will tell you that the public sector shouldn't be creating jobs and we should be pulling back from public sector employment. But if it's not the public sector that creates jobs, who does? Is it their job to create jobs? And you know perfectly well it's not. You know it's not the job of the private sector to create jobs. It's the job of the private sector to return shareholder value and make profits. That's what the private sector does. So whose job is it? And then that gives you to another question. Does a healthy economy require jobs? Do you need them? And there's really two answers to that question. There's one, no, and the other is, but if they aren't creating jobs, then who's going to buy the goods? So look at this little chart here. Indexed to 2000, this is job growth versus GDP growth. I don't have to explain that to you. We're producing much more with fewer people, and that trend, as you see, is a continuing trend. And when you look at manufacturing productivity, our output has doubled from 1989 to 2009. We're doing more with fewer people than we ever had in our entire history. And that trend is likely to continue. So the role of jobs becomes really problematic at best. So at least we know now that the notion of a job, what is a job, is not a fixed idea. It changes over time. It changed once before, and it's about to change again. That model of a job, you know. I like this one. They guess they knew what they were doing. Wasn't that a brewery? Yeah. I think it was. So, you know, from that conception of what people do when they have a job to this one is a shockwave of its own. And I want to suggest to you that it shatters the notion of what we as economic developers do. This person is producing value, arguably, at a much higher value than Laverne and Shirley were. So the future of jobs is that they have a future. There's something so fundamental going on that we need to think differently about the value proposition that is economic development. We need to reevaluate our profession. We need to think that a job is different from what it means to create value. And the word job simply describes a relationship. No more and no less. The degree to which it creates value, it's valuable to your community, otherwise not. So here's what we should have been asking all along. What are the conditions under which jobs are created? That's the question. And what are the conditions under which value is created? So if we can turn that into a new economic development model, then I think we will have made some progress. Because we need to understand that people without jobs still add value. And people with jobs may not add much value, and certainly no guaranteed value going into the future. If this doesn't shatter your foundations, then let's go even further. What does it look like for corporations without people? Can we imagine such a thing? Yes, we can. And we already are invited to do it every day. There are guilds forming. There are whole new structures of relationships between those who provide value and those who don't. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.